So let me begin by asking you, Dr. Manmohan Singh was well regarded for his diligence and his academic approach to work, as well as his accessibility. How do you remember him?
I remember him as a very simple man and very accessible man, and he was always ready to talk to you. I met him in various positions. I met him on a train. I met him at the airport. Of course, I went to meet him also, and he was very accessible. He had nothing to show off, nothing to say that I'm a big man, and he would be very simple. Even if by mistake he got angry and said offensive things against you, he's the first person to apologize and say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. So I think he's a fantastic guy. And I don't know how he was to work with because I've only seen as observer as a journalist. But I guess he was a simple man. I once went to his office and he was having lunch, and they were just suki rotis and some dry vegetables. That means he had kept control on his diet also. And nothing to show off about him. And he was a very conscious of the fact of the Indian economy and used to study the economy. And I think his main agenda was how to straighten India's economy. And that's why the job of finance minister had been offered to him. It had earlier been offered to I.G. Patel, who was the governor of RBI, but he had said no. So the post went to Mr. Manmohan Singh. And so essentially you can say he was the pick of Prime Minister Narasimha Rao then. And then he must have used, and then Manmohan Singh used his own intelligence and thinking to take forward the Indian economy, which was in a very bad position when when Narasimha Rao took over the reins of the Indian country, India. I think he was very good. And later, of course, Sonia Gandhi was there, and Sonia Gandhi promoted him because then she knew that he was technically very sound. And yet, at the same time, politically, he will never be a fixer or he will not try to take advantage of his position. So, in that sense, he was also, you can say that he was Prime Minister to impress Sonia. And he came from a very humble background, his parents were traders and all. He came from somewhere in Punjab. He was very well versed with Urdu language, which used to be taught in Punjab in those days. And he did not know much Hindi. And English, of course, he knew because he had gone to Cambridge or Oxford, one or two, to do his PhD and all. And he's an example of a person who came from a humble background, yet he made it good in life on his own, with using his own studies and all. That was possible in those days, and because money had not played such a huge role in the economy in those days, and people with merit would come up in this way. And I think he's a wonderful guy. In that way, sense, I'll say.
Absolutely. Now, as you also rightly mentioned, Dr. Singh was an economist, a politician, and also a teacher. He had played many roles in his illustrious career. Looking back, how do you describe his career?
Well, I'll describe that he was a poor man. He would have ended up as a schoolmaster or a lecturer in a small college, but he actually grew up to become a professor. He was a professor at Delhi School of Economics also. Then after he came to the notice of people like Mrs. Indira Gandhi, who were looking for good economists in the government. And he joined the ranks of the government and rose there. He was also the governor of RBI. So on the job he learned, and he must have impressed a lot of people. But his way was not very stylish. Without his style, he could convince people of what he was saying. And from there, he became a prime minister, a finance minister, and then prime minister. And I think luck also had a huge role. Because unless you have luck, you can't have such a huge jump in your life, starting from a lecturer in a college to become Prime Minister of India. That's a huge. It's not he's not an activist like, say, Narendra Modi, who also started as a pracharak, but he went up, but his career path is different. Because he was a politician and therefore he knew. But Manmohan Singh was not a politician. He was a career bureaucrat, and you can say that he was a politician who has been drawn into things, and then he was promoted because people thought that he was a good guy. Luck played a huge role in that way in his life. And his lifestyle was very simple. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. Now, of course, I'd also like to quote Barack Obama here. He said that he described the former Prime Minister as wise, thoughtful, and scrupulously honest. You have been a journalist, so how would you describe him as an international leader?
As an international leader also was good. He would not fight with people. He will not get into disputes. He will not get into groups. And so people trusted him. That is the main thing about him in India also. The other senior politicians, all of them trusted him. Because he was a trustworthy man. And so his integrity was very high. He was very trustworthy. That is what makes him different from any other person, I think. Ultimately, people want a bright man who's also intelligent, but also at the same time who's trustworthy also. So this man had integrity and he had also competence. So integrity and competence took him forward. Absolutely. And I think that is exactly what Barack Obama is also saying. And today you see everybody is praising him, including Narendra Modi and other politicians from the opposition parties also, which is very rare to see these days. Why? Because nobody saw it as a threat, but everybody found him an asset in whatever they do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, of course, he has had an illustrious career, but thank you so much, Mr. Kingshuk Nak, for joining us and giving your perspective.